Welcome back to our channel. Today, we uncover the extraordinary yet bittersweet story of one of Hollywood's most iconic figures, Buster Keaton. Known as the Great Stone Face, Keaton's unparalleled talent, daring stunts, and groundbreaking physical comedy revolutionized cinema. But behind his stoic expression and timeless artistry lay a life filled with triumphs, struggles, and heartbreak. Join us as we take a closer look at the rise, fall, and eventual redemption of Buster Keaton, a genius who shaped the golden age of Hollywood but faced a truly tragic end. Childhood Buster Keaton, born Joseph Frank Keaton, known as the Great Stone Face, was born on October 4th, 1895, in Piqua, Kansas. His arrival was pure happenstance, a result of his vaudeville performing parents, Joe and Myra Keaton, being in town for a show. From the moment he entered the world, Buster's life was destined to be unconventional, shaped by constant travel, chaotic environments, and the unique demands of a family devoted to entertainment. Growing up on the road, Keaton's childhood swung between moments of adventure and episodes of hardship. On good days, the vibrant world of vaudeville performers must have felt like a dream, a traveling circus of characters who could sing, dance, and make audiences laugh. But on other days, the instability of constantly moving from town to town turned his childhood into a whirlwind of unpredictability. At just 18 months old, Buster experienced an incident that would define his identity. During a visit from Harry Houdini, the baby tumbled down a flight of stairs, leaving onlookers horrified. But instead of crying, the toddler simply stood up unharmed. Houdini, amazed by the child's resilience, exclaimed, "He's a regular Buster." From that moment, the name stuck, and so did the reputation for physical durability that would become a hallmark of Keaton's career. But resilience came at a cost. Buster's parents used extreme measures to control him when their hectic schedules left little room for proper supervision. Tying him to a pole or even giving him alcohol to quiet him may seem shocking by today's standards, but it was a reflection of their desperation in managing a child amid the chaos of vaudeville life. Despite these questionable parenting tactics, young Buster began performing on stage at the age of 3, displaying an uncanny ability to take falls without injury, a skill that would later make him one of the greatest physical comedians in history. Buster's early years weren't just about surviving, they were about adapting. He learned to find humor in hardship, turning moments of pain or danger into entertainment. This ability to channel his experiences into his craft laid the foundation for his later success. His unconventional childhood wasn't just a backdrop to his story, it was the crucible that forged his unparalleled talent. Mel. The Keaton family was both a source of strength and a breeding ground for challenges in Buster's formative years. His father, Joe Keaton, was a seasoned performer, but his heavy drinking and volatile temper often created tension on and off the stage. For young Buster, working alongside his father was a double-edged sword. On one hand, Joe's theatrical instincts and natural showmanship were invaluable lessons for a budding performer. On the other hand, his unpredictable behavior meant that every performance carried an undercurrent of uncertainty. Buster learned early to navigate his father's mood swings, especially when Joe's drinking took center stage. The smell of whiskey on Joe's breath became a signal for Buster to brace himself, whether for a rougher performance or an emotional outburst. Despite this, Buster admired his father, finding joy in their shared moments on stage, even if they sometimes came at a personal cost. Meanwhile, Myra Keaton, Buster's mother, tried her best to protect her son from the more chaotic aspects of their family life. She played a quieter role in their performances, often providing music, But behind the scenes, she worked to shield Buster from the worst of Joe's excesses. However, the realities of their nomadic lifestyle often left her with little power to intervene. The family dynamic was far from perfect, but it instilled in Buster a sense of resilience and resourcefulness. He learned to adapt to whatever came his way, whether it was a last-minute change in their act or the emotional turbulence of his father's temper. These experiences not only shaped his personality, but also informed the deadpan humor and physical comedy that would later captivate audiences worldwide. Buster Keaton's career was a remarkable journey from vaudeville stages to the heights of Hollywood's golden age, yet it was also marked by profound challenges and setbacks. His story began in the chaotic world of live performances, where he first honed his craft as part of the Three Keatons act. Alongside his parents, Joe and Myra, Keaton's deadpan expression, later immortalized as the Great Stone Face, emerged as a signature feature. Even as a child, he captivated audiences with his fearless stunts and impeccable comedic timing. Before Buster Keaton could chase his dreams, World War I interrupted his plans. He served with the American Expeditionary Forces in France for 7 grueling months. During that time, Keaton experienced firsthand the harsh realities of war. In all those months, he only spent one night sleeping in a proper bed. The rest of his nights were spent on the cold, unforgiving floors of mills, barns, and stables. Keaton wasn't exactly the most resilient soldier in Europe. The frigid conditions quickly took their toll, and he developed an ear infection that led to partial deafness in one ear. This condition would haunt him for the rest of his life, but it almost cost him far more. One fateful night on the front lines, Keaton was returning to his barracks after a card game. As he approached, a sentry called out demanding the password, but Keaton, unable to hear properly, didn't respond. The guard gave repeated warnings, yet Keaton continued walking, oblivious to the danger. Finally, a chilling sound cut through the haze of his damaged eardrum, the click of a rifle being cocked. In that instant, Keaton stopped in his tracks, narrowly avoiding being shot. Eventually, Keaton made it back to New York safely, but the experience left a permanent mark. His hearing never fully recovered, and it became a constant source of frustration. For the rest of his life, Keaton feared missing something important, just as he had missed the sentry's shouts that night. This lingering anxiety, born on the battlefield, became yet another hurdle for the man who was already no stranger to challenges. Keaton's time in the war, though brief, was transformative. It added a layer of resilience to his character, preparing him for the hardships that lay ahead in both his personal life and his career. Yet it also left him with a lasting reminder of how fragile life can be, a lesson he would carry with him as he returned to the stage and screen, ready to carve his place in cinematic history. In 1917, Keaton made the leap into the burgeoning film industry, forming a partnership with comedy legend Fatty Arbuckle. This collaboration proved to be a launching pad for his film career. Over the course of 3 years, the duo created 14 films, each showcasing Keaton's exceptional physical comedy and knack for visual storytelling. Arbuckle's mentorship played a pivotal role in propelling Keaton to stardom, but their partnership ended abruptly due to the scandal that destroyed Arbuckle's career. Unfazed by this setback, Keaton took control of his destiny in 1921, founding Buster Keaton Productions. This decision marked the beginning of his creative peak. Everyone knows Buster Keaton's most iconic stunt, the one that has become legendary in the history of cinema. Picture this. Keaton stands motionless in front of a house as its entire facade collapses toward him, only for him to emerge unscathed through a perfectly aligned open window. This death-defying gag has been recreated countless times over the years, but what makes Keaton's version unforgettable is that he did it for real. If his calculations had been off by even an inch, the falling house would have crushed him. Luckily, no house ever managed to flatten Buster Keaton during his filmmaking career. However, there was one stunt that came dangerously close to ending his life. His worst injury occurred while shooting Sherlock Jr. in 1924. In one particular scene, Keaton is walking along the roof of a moving train. As the train exits the frame, he grabs onto a water spout, pulling it open and releasing a powerful gush of water onto his head. On screen, the stunt is executed flawlessly. You see Keaton suspended midair for a brief moment before being thrown into a torrent of water below. He then stumbles out of the chaos, seemingly unharmed, but behind the scenes, the reality was far more harrowing. Keaton later recalled experiencing a persistent headache after the stunt. His initial remedy? A few days of treatment with Jack Daniels. When the pain didn't subside, he reluctantly went to see a doctor. That's when he received a chilling diagnosis. Keaton had actually broken his neck during the stunt. The discovery was both shocking and emblematic of Keaton's incredible endurance. Despite the severity of the injury, Keaton hadn't missed a beat, continuing to work as if nothing had happened. But did this near-fatal accident slow him down? Of course not. Buster Keaton's unrelenting dedication to his craft meant that even a broken neck wasn't enough to deter him. His films only grew more ambitious, and he began laying the groundwork for what would become the greatest masterpiece of his career. Keaton's daring stunts reflected his commitment to authenticity and his love for cinema's ability to inspire. Every risk he took, every injury he endured, added to the legend of a man whose physical comedy continues to leave audiences in awe. But that didn't stop him. With full autonomy, Keaton crafted groundbreaking films like The General, 1926, which blended comedy and drama with breathtaking stunts and elaborate set pieces. The film, now considered a cinematic masterpiece and one of the greatest movies of all time, demonstrated Keaton's genius as both an actor and a director. Yet in its own time, The General was a box office disappointment. The film's financial failure was devastating for Keaton, both professionally and personally. He had poured his heart, soul, and resources into the project, only to see it dismissed by critics and audiences alike. This misstep marked the beginning of his decline in Hollywood, a stark contrast to the soaring heights of his earlier successes. Desperate to stabilize his career, Keaton made a fateful decision in the late 1920s. He signed with MGM, one of Hollywood's most powerful studios. What should have been a lifeline quickly became a creative straitjacket. MGM stripped Keaton of the creative control he had relied on to craft his unique brand of comedy. The studio interfered with his projects, forbidding him from performing his own stunts and diluting his trademark humor with formulaic storytelling. This lack of autonomy, coupled with the advent of sound films, further eroded Keaton's career. His silent comedy style, defined by physicality and visual gags, struggled to find a place in the era of talkies. The once celebrated pioneer of cinema found himself sidelined, his work reduced to shadows of his former brilliance. Scandals. By the late 1920s, Keaton's career took a different turn after signing with MGM, a decision he later called the worst of his life. During his MGM years, Keaton's behavior on set became erratic, largely fueled by his growing dependence on alcohol. Once known for his meticulous planning and precision in his silent films, Keaton now found himself battling personal demons that began to overshadow his work. Studio executives, including MGM head Louis B. Mayer, were quick to criticize him, further alienating the once great star. Buster Keaton must have felt like his life was spiraling out of control. Once hailed as one of the biggest movie stars in the world, he now found himself on the verge of irrelevance. He despised working on sound films, which he believed couldn't hold a candle to the brilliance of his earlier silent masterpieces. Once a leading figure in Hollywood, Keaton was now rapidly slipping toward the bottom tier of the industry, and his personal life offered no solace. As his career faltered, so did his stability at home. Keaton began to unravel, and his downward spiral was anything but graceful. Like many stars facing the collapse of their careers, he turned to alcohol as an escape. His drinking, which had started as a coping mechanism, soon became a destructive addiction that fueled an endless cycle of despair. The more his films declined in quality, the more he drank, and the more he drank, the worse his films became. Keaton's personal relationships also began to reflect his turmoil. His marriage was in shambles. His wife refused to share a bed with him, further straining an already fractured relationship. In search of comfort and companionship, Keaton embarked on affairs with actresses Dorothy Sebastian and Kathleen Key. However, these flings offered no real solutions to his problems. They were fleeting distractions, unable to fill the growing void in his life. Neither alcohol nor infidelity could soothe Keaton's struggles. Instead, they exacerbated his downward spiral. His addiction worsened, and with each misstep, the once great comedic genius seemed to drift further from the light of his former glory. What had been a promising career and a glittering life was now marred by heartbreak and self-destruction. This period of Keaton's life was a far cry from his earlier triumphs. His decline highlighted the toll that fame and creative limitations could take on even the most gifted artists. While his earlier controversies, like the Arbuckle scandal, stemmed from external forces, his struggles at MGM were a reflection of his internal battles. Besides, Buster Keaton may not have been a shopaholic like his wife, but he had his own share of flaws. One of his vices was gambling, a habit he picked up during the height of his career. As Hollywood's great stone face, Keaton's fame and fortune seemed untouchable, and he indulged in high-stakes games without much concern for the consequences. At his peak, losing $50,000 in a single poker game might have been a mere inconvenience, a dent in the bank account of one of the world's biggest movie stars. But as his career began to falter and his income dwindled, that same habit became a dangerous liability. What once seemed like a harmless pastime turned into a glaring problem, amplifying the financial strain that already loomed over him. Keaton's gambling wasn't just about the money, it was a reflection of the risks he often took in life. On screen, those risks had made him a legend, but in his personal life, they chipped away at the stability he so desperately needed. As work dried up and debts piled on, his gambling habits served as yet another reminder of how quickly fortunes could change in Hollywood. This self-destructive behavior, coupled with the challenges in his personal and professional life, painted a picture of a man grappling with the weight of his own choices, a stark contrast to the composed, unflinching figure audiences adored on screen. Keaton's story during this time is both a cautionary tale and a humanizing glimpse into the struggles that even the brightest stars can face. Marriage. Buster Keaton's personal life was as dramatic as the roles he portrayed on screen. His 3 marriages, each vastly different, reflected the highs and lows of his journey, from romantic beginnings to bitter ends and ultimately to redemption. Keaton's first marriage to actress Natalie Talmadge in 1921 started as a Hollywood fairy tale. Natalie was part of the influential Talmadge family, and their union seemed to symbolize the blending of 2 entertainment dynasties. Together they had 2 sons, Joseph and Robert, but beneath the surface, cracks began to form. Natalie's lavish spending habits clashed with Keaton's more modest approach to life. Adding to the tension, After the birth of their second child, Natalie refused to share a bedroom with Keaton, creating an emotional and physical distance that eroded their marriage. By 1932, their relationship had deteriorated beyond repair. Their divorce was far from amicable, with Natalie not only taking their sons but also changing their last name to Talmadge, a symbolic act that severed Keaton's connection to his children. This devastating loss left Keaton reeling, a man broken by both personal betrayal and professional struggles. Keaton's second marriage to nurse May Scrivens in 1933 was no less troubled. At the time, Keaton was battling severe alcoholism and was institutionalized for his addiction. It was during this vulnerable period that he married Scrivens, a decision he later claimed to have little memory of due to his intoxicated state. Unsurprisingly, the marriage quickly unraveled. Scrivens reportedly exploited Keaton's fragile condition, and their union ended after just 3 years, with her walking away with much of his dwindling fortune. But just as Keaton seemed to be at his lowest, salvation came in the form of Eleanor Norris, a young dancer 23 years his junior. When they married in 1940, many doubted the longevity of their relationship. Keaton, at 44, was viewed as a washed-up star, while Eleanor, just 21, was vibrant and full of promise. Yet, against all odds, their partnership proved to be transformative. Eleanor wasn't just a loving wife, she was a stabilizing force in Keaton's life. She helped him confront and ultimately overcome his alcoholism, providing the structure and support he had long lacked. Eleanor also took charge of managing their finances, ensuring that the reckless spending that plagued his earlier years didn't repeat itself. Together, they built a life grounded in mutual respect and shared determination. While Keaton never regained the level of stardom he'd enjoyed in the 1920s, his marriage to Eleanor marked a period of personal stability and quiet contentment. She remained by his side until his death in 1966, a testament to the enduring bond they shared. Keaton's tumultuous personal life, marked by heartbreak and redemption, mirrored the comedic and tragic arcs he so often portrayed on screen. His journey through 3 marriages reflects not only the struggles of a man searching for stability, but also the resilience of a true artist who found love and peace in the end. Other relationships. Despite the many personal challenges Buster Keaton faced, one constant in his life was the network of meaningful friendships he built within Hollywood. These relationships not only shaped his career, but also provided him with a sense of camaraderie and inspiration during difficult times. One of Keaton's most significant collaborations was with Fatty Arbuckle, a comedic powerhouse of the silent film era. Arbuckle recognized Keaton's raw talent early on and brought him into the world of filmmaking. Together they created 14 films, each showcasing Keaton's extraordinary knack for physical comedy and visual storytelling. Arbuckle became both a mentor and a friend, teaching Keaton the nuances of the film industry and helping him transition from vaudeville to the silver screen. Another pivotal figure in Keaton's life was Harry Houdini, the legendary escape artist. Houdini not only gave Keaton his famous nickname, Buster, but also left a lasting impression on his approach to performance. Houdini's daring feats and innovative showmanship inspired Keaton's bold and inventive style, particularly in his stunts and physical gags. Their friendship, though brief, was instrumental in shaping Keaton's identity as a performer unafraid to take risks. Beyond these iconic collaborations, Keaton maintained a strong rapport with many of his peers in Hollywood. Despite the competitive nature of the industry, he was known for his professionalism, wit, and generosity on set. His ability to form lasting connections with others highlighted a rare quality in an industry often characterized by fleeting relationships. These friendships were more than just professional alliances. They were lifelines during turbulent periods. When Keaton's career faced setbacks, it was the lessons and encouragement from his mentors and peers that helped him persevere. The collaborative spirit that defined his early work remained a cornerstone of his legacy, proving that even amid personal struggles, he valued and nurtured the creative partnerships that propelled him to greatness. Later, Buster Keaton never regained the towering fame he enjoyed during the 1920s, but he did manage to find a late career renaissance, allowing him a chance to ride off into the sunset with dignity. After years of being forgotten, the public began rediscovering his groundbreaking work. The genius of his silent films, once overlooked, was now appreciated for its timeless artistry. With this renewed recognition came new opportunities. Keaton found work appearing on television, where he was able to showcase some of his signature rough-and-tumble stunts, even well into his 50s. Though his movements were no longer as nimble as they had been in his prime, his comedic timing and daring physicality remained as captivating as ever. It was a bittersweet reward after enduring years of obscurity, a reminder that his legacy as a pioneer of physical comedy would endure. However, even this period of resurgence wasn't without tragedy. In 1962, Keaton was set to co-star in a new television show alongside comedian Ernie Kovacs. The project had the potential to breathe new life into Keaton's career, bringing together two comedic greats. On January 12, 1962, the pair filmed scenes together, their on-screen chemistry promising something truly special. Tragically, the show never saw the light of day. The very next morning, Kovacs lost control of his Chevy Corvair while making a turn. The car smashed into a telephone pole, ejecting him from the vehicle. He died instantly, leaving the project and Keaton's hopes for a new chapter in his career forever unfinished. The sudden loss of his co-star and friend may have caused Keaton to reflect on his own mortality, though he couldn't have known how little time he had left. Despite this dark moment, Keaton pressed on, continuing to work and solidify his place in entertainment history. His ability to persevere, even in the face of heartbreak and setbacks, is a testament to the strength and resilience that defined him both on and off the screen. And legacy. In 1966, Buster Keaton faced the final act of his life with the same quiet resilience that had defined his journey. Diagnosed with lung cancer, a condition far more serious than he could have imagined, Keaton was kept in the dark by his family and doctors. They chose not to reveal the truth, instead allowing him to believe he was simply battling bronchitis. This decision, though controversial by modern standards, reflected a desire to shield him from the emotional burden of his diagnosis. As the days passed, Keaton remained restless and eager to return home, unaware of the gravity of his condition. True to his nature, he refused to let illness dictate his demeanor, pacing the hospital halls and even playing cards with his family in his final hours. It was as though he was unknowingly channeling the stoic strength that had earned him the title of the Great Stone Face one last time. On February 1st, 1966, Buster Keaton passed away at the age of 70, with his beloved wife Eleanor by his side. Eleanor had been his anchor during his darkest days, helping him overcome his struggles with alcoholism and reigniting his career. In the end, her presence was a testament to the profound love and partnership they shared. Keaton's passing marked the end of an era, but also cemented his legacy as one of the greatest silent film stars of all time. Buster Keaton's blend of physical comedy, daring stunts, and stone-faced humor cemented his place as one of cinema's greatest icons. Despite a career marked by ups and downs, His work continues to inspire laughter and admiration, leaving an indelible legacy in the world of entertainment. Even in death, he remained an icon of perseverance, his unwavering spirit a reminder of the indomitable human will. This poignant chapter of Keaton's life serves as a fitting conclusion to his extraordinary story, leaving behind a legacy that not only shaped cinema, but also inspired generations with its timeless artistry. Buster Keaton's life was as dramatic as the films he created. From his unparalleled contributions to silent cinema to his battles with personal demons, his journey was one of resilience and artistry. Though his life ended too soon, Keaton's legacy lives on, continuing to inspire laughter and awe across generations. Thank you for joining us in celebrating the life of this incredible talent. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more captivating stories from Hollywood's golden era.